She stared at her phone in the parking lot outside the bank. The screen glowed in the dim evening light. The text from her mother lit up everything. "You're not coming. Dad wants just family." Sarah's thumb hovered over the message. She had just transferred the last $4,000, $18,000 total. For the Hawaii trip she had planned, booked, and paid for. Every single cent. The engine was still running. The receipt for the final payment sat on the passenger seat. Villa on Maui. Flights for 14 people. Activities. Food budget. Everything. She read the text again. "You're not coming." Her mother had sent it at 6:47 p.m. on December 3rd, 2025. 3 days before the trip, Sarah didn't cry. She just sat there. The phone felt heavy in her hand. Outside, rain started tapping on the windshield of her car in suburban Chicago. "How did we get here? Let me take you back." "My name is Sarah. I'm 34 years old. I work as a senior project manager at a logistics company in Chicago. I make good money, not rich money, but steady. Enough to live comfortably and still help my family when they needed it, and they always needed it. I was the oldest of 3. My brother Tyler is 29. My sister Brooke is 27. Growing up in our house in Naperville, Illinois, I learned early that I was the reliable one. Dad lost his job when I was 14. Some restructuring at the manufacturing plant. He never really recovered. Mom worked part-time as a receptionist, but mostly stayed home managing everyone's emotions. I started working at 16. Fast food, then retail, then tutoring. Every paycheck went partly to the family. Groceries when Dad's unemployment ran out, new tires for the car, school supplies for Tyler and Brooke. They called me their rock. I believed it. By the time I finished college on scholarships and night shifts, I was already paying for Tyler's community college classes. He dropped out after 2 semesters, but I had already covered $6,000. Brooke wanted a big wedding at 24. Venue fell through. I stepped in with $8,000 to secure a new one. Mom cried happy tears and hugged me tight. "You're such a blessing, Sarah." That was the pattern. Always had been. Fast forward to 2024. Dad's health started failing. Heart issues. 2 procedures. Insurance didn't cover everything. I paid $11,000 out of pocket. Mom sent me long voice messages about how grateful she was. How no one else would do what I did. I felt needed, important, part of the family. Then came the idea for the Hawaii trip. It was Mom who suggested it first. Late September 2025, we were at a family dinner at their house. Dad was recovering. Tyler had just started a new sales job. Brooke was between jobs again. "We never do anything together anymore," Mom said, passing the mashed potatoes. "A real family vacation, just us, reconnect." Dad nodded slowly. "Maui, always wanted to go to Maui." I saw the excitement in their eyes. Tyler was already looking up beaches on his phone. Brooke talked about the perfect Instagram spots. I felt that old pull, the desire to make it happen, to be the one who made the family whole again. "How much would something like that cost?" I asked carefully. Mom waved her hand. "Oh, we'll figure it out. Maybe split it somehow." But I already knew how it would go. I always figured it out. That night, I started researching. I spent hours on my laptop after work. Found a beautiful oceanfront villa in Lahaina area that could fit all 14 of us. Parents, siblings, their partners, a couple cousins who wanted to join. It was expensive but perfect. Private pool, steps from the beach. I sent the link to the family group chat. Within minutes, the hearts and excited emojis flooded in. Mom called me immediately. "Sarah, this is incredible. You always find the best things." I told them I could cover the villa if everyone chipped in for flights and food. That seemed fair. But over the next weeks, the contributions never came. Tyler's car needed repairs. Brooke had credit card debt, Dad's medications, Mom's small emergencies. By mid-October, I had already put down the full deposit on the villa, $9,000, non-refundable. I didn't say anything. I told myself it was fine. This trip would heal us. We would laugh on the beach, take family photos. Finally, feel close again, I worked extra projects, took on weekend calls, cashed in some PTO, transferred more money, booked flights for everyone. 14 tickets, different dates because of work schedules, but all coordinated by me. I created a shared spreadsheet, detailed every expense, who owed what. I even included a column for reimbursement timeline. Mom praised it. "You're so organized, honey. What would we do without you?" I smiled at my screen when she said that. The love bombing was constant those weeks. Chai-chai. Texts from Mom. "Can't wait to watch the sunrise with my beautiful daughter. Proud of the woman you've become. You make this family possible." I saved every message. I don't know why. Something in my gut told me to. By November 15th, I had transferred the full $18,000. Flights, villa balance, rental cars, excursion deposits for snorkeling, luau's, helicopter tours, everything. The family group chat was alive every day. Tyler sending funny memes about pineapple on pizza, Brooke asking what to pack, Dad sharing. Old Hawaii photos from the 90s. I felt warm, connected, like all the years of giving had finally led to this moment. But there were small things, tiny cracks. One evening in late November, I called Mom to confirm the final head count. She sounded distracted. "Everyone's coming, right?" I asked. "Of course, sweetie. It's going to be perfect." I heard Dad's voice in the background. Low, saying something I couldn't quite catch. "What did Dad say?" I asked. "Oh, nothing. He's just excited." I let it go. Another time, Brooke posted in the group chat asking if there was a quiet room in the villa because she needed space for her yoga. I replied that there were multiple bedrooms. Mom jumped in. "Sarah will make sure everyone is comfortable. She always does." It felt good, but also expected. I pushed the doubts away. I had a big presentation at work the week before the trip. My boss was counting on me. I stayed late every night, then came home and double-checked bookings. On December 1st, everything was confirmed. I sent a final detailed itinerary to the group. Pickup times from the airport, grocery delivery to the villa, even a welcome basket I had arranged with local fruits and flowers. Mom replied with a row of heart emojis. Our hero, that was 2 days before the text. December 3rd. I left work a little early, drove to the bank to make the last transfer for the excursion package. $18,000 exactly. My savings account looked thin, but I told myself it was worth it. I sat in the car afterward, feeling accomplished. Ready? Then my phone buzzed. Mom's message. "You're not coming. Dad wants just family." I read it 3 times. My first thought was that it was a joke, a sick joke. I typed back quickly. "What do you mean? This is a joke, right?" The typing bubbles appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Mom replied, "We talked about it. Dad feels the trip should be for immediate family only. No outsiders." I wasn't an outsider. I was their daughter, the one who paid for everything. Called her immediately. It rang 4 times before she picked up. "Sarah, honey, don't make this difficult." Her voice was calm. Too calm. "Mom, I paid $18,000. I booked everything. What are you talking about?" She sighed. The kind of sigh she used when I was a teenager and wanted something for myself. "It's not about the money. Dad wants quality time with his children and grandchildren. Just the core family. You understand?" I didn't understand. My hands started shaking. I gripped the steering wheel. "I am core family, Mom. I'm your daughter." There was a long pause. "Things have been tense. You know that. Dad thinks having you there might bring up old issues, work stress, money stuff. He wants peace. Old issues, money stuff." The money I had given them for years. I could hear Dad murmuring in the background again. "Is Dad there? Put him on." Mom's voice sharpened just a little. "He doesn't want to talk right now. He's resting. Doctor's orders." I stared at the rain hitting the windshield harder now. "So you used my money. You let me plan everything, book everything. pay for 14 people. And now you're telling me 2 days before the flight that I'm not invited? We didn't use you, Sarah. You offered. You always offer. This trip is important for your father's health, for family bonding. I laughed then. A short, bitter sound that surprised even me. Family bonding, without me, the person who made it possible. Mom's tone changed. The love-bombing voice disappeared. You're being dramatic, like always. We can pay you back eventually, just not right now. Tyler needs the trip to reset before his new job. Brooke is going through a lot. You're strong. You'll be fine. Strong. That word again. I was always the strong one, the one who didn't need anything. I ended the call without saying goodbye. I couldn't breathe properly. The phone rang again immediately. Mom. I silenced it. Then Tyler texted, Sarah, don't ruin this. For everyone, Mom explained. It's not personal. Not personal. I sat there in the car for a long time. 20 minutes, 30. The windows fogged up. I thought about all the times I had canceled my own plans to help them. The vacations I never took. The savings I drained. The promotions I turned down because I needed flexible hours for family emergencies. And now this. I opened the family group chat. Everyone had seen Mom's original text. No one defended me. No one questioned it. Brooke had replied with a thumbs-up emoji. My own sister. The rain fell harder. I turned on the wipers. That was the moment something inside me shifted. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just opened my notes app and started typing. Every single payment. Every transfer. Every receipt I had saved. Dates. Amounts. Screenshot confirmations. I had kept everything, and there was one more thing they didn't know. But that would come later. Right now, in that parking lot, with the text still burning on my screen, I made a decision. They wanted just family? Fine. I would show them exactly what family meant to me. I drove home slowly. The wipers moved back and forth like a metronome. My apartment in downtown Naperville felt colder than usual when I walked in. I dropped my keys on the counter and stood there in the dark for a full minute. Then I turned on every light. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open. The spreadsheet stared back at me. $18,000, itemized, time-stamped, irrefutable. I started a new document, title, Family Transactions 2018-2025. I copied every transfer, every Venmo, every check image I had photographed over the years. College for Tyler, $6,200. Brooke's wedding contribution, $8,500. Dad's cardiac stent copay, $11,400. Random emergencies, another $4,000 here and there. Total came to $68,000 over 7 years, not including the Hawaii trip. I saved the file, backed it up to 3 different clouds. Then I made physical printouts. 2 copies, one for me, one for... I didn't know yet. My phone kept buzzing. I put it on silent but left it face up. Tyler. Sarah, please don't make this weird. Dad's not feeling well. Brooke. You always take things so personally. It's one trip. Mom called again at 8:15 p.m. I let it ring out. She left a voicemail. Sarah, you're overreacting. We love you. This isn't about excluding you. It's about what your father needs right now. Call me back so we can talk like adults. I played it twice. Her voice sounded so reasonable, so practiced. I didn't call back. Instead, I opened the airline app. My flight was booked for December 6th, same as everyone else. Seat 12A. Window. I had chosen it so I could watch the ocean. A pier below. I canceled it. Full refund to my card. The confirmation popped up immediately. Next, the villa host. I sent a polite email explaining a family emergency and asked about partial refund options. I knew the deposit was mostly gone, but I had to try. Then I sat back and stared at the ceiling for 23 minutes. The fan spun slowly above me. Click, click, click. I thought about driving to their house right then, showing up with the printed receipts, making them look me in the eye. But I didn't. Something told me to wait, to watch, to gather more. The next morning, December 4th, I called in sick to work. First time in 3 years. My boss sounded concerned. I told her it was a stomach bug. She told me to rest. I spent the day digging. I logged into the shared Google Drive where I had stored all trip documents. Everyone had access. I checked the activity log. Mom had opened the itinerary file at 11:42 p.m. the night before, after our call. She downloaded a copy. Interesting. I also noticed a second folder, one I hadn't created, titled Maui Plans, Private. It was shared only with Mom, Dad, Tyler, and Brooke. Not with me. I didn't have access. My stomach tightened. I tried requesting access. Denied automatically. That was new. I made coffee and kept working. I pulled up old text threads. Months of Mom telling me how much she appreciated me. How the family couldn't function without my support. One from October 28th. You are the glue, Sarah. Never change. I screenshot it. By afternoon, the family group chat had exploded with excitement about packing. Someone posted a photo of new swimsuits. Brooke. Heart reactions from everyone. No one mentioned me. No one asked why I had gone silent. At 4:17 p.m., Mom sent a direct text. We still expect you to honor your commitment. The money is already spent. Don't punish the whole family because you're hurt. I stared at those words for a long time. Punish. Them, I replied with one line. I'll handle the money situation my way. Then I blocked her number. Not permanently, just enough to stop the immediate flood. Tyler called from an unknown number 10 minutes later. I answered on speaker while I folded laundry. Sarah, what the hell? Mom is crying. Dad is stressed. This is supposed to be a happy trip. His voice had that familiar mix of annoyance and entitlement. I kept folding a towel. Slow, deliberate movements. Tyler, did you know about this plan to exclude me before I paid the last $4,000? Silence on his end. Not exactly. But Dad mentioned he wanted it low-key. Just us kids and grandkids. Grandkids. My siblings had children. I didn't. Yet, I asked the next question carefully. When did he mention it? Another pause. A couple weeks ago, maybe. Look, it's not a big deal. You can come next time. Next time. I laughed quietly. Tyler, I paid for your flight, your room, your snorkel tour, with money I earned after working 60-hour weeks. He sighed dramatically. You always throw money in our faces. We never asked you to pay for everything. I stopped folding. You never stopped me either. You just took. He raised his voice. This is why Dad doesn't want drama on the trip. You always make everything about you. I hung up. The room felt too quiet after that. I unblocked Mom and sent her a longer message. Not emotional, factual. I have documented every dollar I have given this family since 2018. Total $68,000 before Hawaii. I expect a repayment plan in writing within 30 days, or I will explore other options. Enjoy your family trip. I attached the summary spreadsheet. No totals hidden. Clear columns. Sent. Her reply came fast. You would do this to your own father? After his heart issues? You are breaking this family apart. I didn't answer. That evening I went for a walk in the cold air. The neighborhood Christmas lights were starting to go up. Families laughing inside warm houses. I watched one little girl help her dad hang lights on their porch. My phone buzzed again. Brooke this time. Sarah. I can't believe you're being like this. Mom is devastated. We all are. The kids were looking forward to seeing their aunt. Using the kids now. Classic. I typed back. The kids have no idea what's happening. Don't drag them into it. She replied with crying emojis and, you're so selfish. I blocked her too. Night fell. I sat on my couch with a glass of water and replayed the voicemail from Mom again. Her calm, reasonable voice, the way she twisted everything. I realized something then. This wasn't sudden. The exclusion, the just family line, it had been building. I remembered a conversation in AA, early November. Dad had pulled me aside after Sunday dinner. He looked tired. "Sarah, sometimes we need space to be ourselves, without the pressure of expectations." I had thought he meant work pressure. Now it made sense. They had been planning this quietly. While I booked helicopter tours and grocery deliveries, I opened my laptop again. Second open loop forming. They thought they could use me and discard me. But I had kept every receipt, every message. And there was one more detail they had no idea about. A separate savings account I had set up years ago specifically for family emergencies. One they had never touched because I never told them it existed, but I wasn't ready to use that yet. The next day, December 5th, was quieter, no calls. The group chat had gone private or they created a new one without me. I didn't check. I went back to work half day. My boss noticed something was off but didn't push. I powered through meetings on autopilot. During lunch, I met with my friend Lisa at a small cafe near the office. First person I told the full story to. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she put down her fork. "Sarah, this is insane. You need to protect yourself, financially and emotionally." She was right. That afternoon, I called my bank, spoke to a manager I had worked with before, explained the situation without too many details, asked about options for large transfers. And documentation. She was helpful, suggested a formal demand letter if needed, told me to keep everything time-stamped. I felt a small sense of control returning, but the anger was still there, simmering. Evening of December 5th. Mom tried a new number. Landline, probably. I answered. Her voice was softer now. Calculated. "Honey, we can fix this. Come on the trip. We'll talk it out there. Dad misses you." I almost laughed. "Mom, I canceled my flight yesterday. The villa host confirmed 14 guests still arriving tomorrow. You're all set." She paused. "You canceled? What about the money?" "There is no more money from me. Not now. Not next month. Not until I see real change." Her tone shifted again. The mask slipped. "You think you're so smart? Keeping records, threatening us? After everything we did for you, raising you, sacrificing." I let her talk. She went on for 4 minutes. All the old stories. How hard Dad worked. How she gave up her career. How I was ungrateful. I recorded the entire call. Clear audio. Saved it. When she finally stopped, I spoke once. "I have to go. Safe travels tomorrow." I hung up. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed thinking about the airport the next morning. 14 people excited. Boarding planes I had paid for. Heading to a villa I had chosen. While I sat here alone, the loneliness hit hard around 2 a.m. I got up, made tea, opened the document again, added the new calls, the new texts. I wrote at the bottom, "They wanted just family. They're about to learn what happens when the bank closes." Morning of December 6th arrived, the day the trip started. Watch the flight status apps. Their planes took off on time. First from Chicago to Los Angeles, then connecting to Kahului. I imagined them at the airport, taking group selfies. No empty seat where I should have been. Around noon Chicago time, my phone lit up with photos from the villa. Tyler posted in his personal stories. Ocean view, smiling faces, Mom holding a coconut drink. Caption: "Family time finally. No mention of who made it possible." I closed the app, but I saved the screenshots. This was when the real plan started forming in my mind. Not revenge exactly, justice, boundaries, consequences. I still had one major card they didn't know about, something I had set up quietly 2 years earlier after Dad's second hospital stay. a revocable trust with specific conditions, but revealing. That too early would ruin the effect. I needed them comfortable first, enjoying the trip on my dime, believing they had gotten away with it. Then I would act. The days passed slowly while they were in Hawaii. I focused on work. Went to the gym, cooked real meals for myself, small acts of taking my life back. On December 8th, day 2 of their trip, Mom sent a photo from the beach. All of them, smiling, sunset behind. Text. Wish you could see this, maybe next time. Didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded it to my lawyer friend who did family and financial consultations on the side. Asked for advice on formal repayment demands. He replied within the hour, suggested a strongly worded letter, certified mail, timeline, possible small claims if needed. I started drafting it that night. Meanwhile, the open loops in my mind grew. What they didn't know was that I had access to the security camera footage at the family house. Dad had asked me to set it up last year for peace of mind while he recovered. I still had the login. What they didn't know was that I had kept copies of every tax document where I claimed some of these payments as gifts or loans. What they didn't know was how far I was willing to go to make sure this never happened again. By the middle of their trip, I had the letter ready. Professional, cold, listing every amount, demanding a repayment schedule of at least $2,000 per month starting January. Interest if missed. Proof of the Hawaii expenses. I held on to it. Let them enjoy the luau's first. Let them post more pictures. Let them believe it was over, because the real conversation was coming. And when it did, they would finally understand that the reliable one had limits. December 10th, day 4 of their trip. I was at my desk during lunch when the new photos came in. Brooke posted a carousel on her Instagram, helicopter tour, everyone laughing with headphones on, the same tour I had booked and prepaid for all 14. Caption, best day ever with my favorite people. I zoomed in on Mom's face. She looked relaxed, happy, not a trace of guilt. I saved the post, added it to the growing folder labeled Evidence Hawaii 2025. My lawyer friend Michael called me that afternoon. I stepped out of the office into the parking garage for privacy. Sarah, the demand letter looks solid. We can send it certified mail to their home address. It creates a paper trail. If they ignore it, small claims court is straightforward for documented gifts that were clearly loans based on the pattern. I leaned against a concrete pillar. Cold air moved through the garage. How long until they have to respond? 30 days is standard, but the psychological impact hits the moment they receive it while still on the trip or right after. I told him to send it on December 12th, mid-trip. Let them feel it while they were still spending my money on dinners and activities. Michael paused. You sure you want to go this route? Family stuff gets messy. They made it messy when they texted me I wasn't welcome after I paid $18,000. He didn't argue. I went back to work, focused on a new client project, numbers and timelines, things I could control. That evening, Tyler posted a video from the beach. Dad sitting in a chair under an umbrella, everyone gathered around, Mom rubbing, sunscreen on his shoulders. Tyler's voice in the video. Couldn't ask for better family time. Dad's already looking healthier. The comments were full of hearts from relatives who weren't even on the trip. No one tagged me. No one wondered why the person who made it possible was missing. I watched the video 3 times. Then I muted the family group chat completely. Not left it, just muted. I wanted to see when they finally noticed. December 12th arrived. Michael sent the letter, certified, tracking number active. It would reach their house in Naperville 2 days after they returned. I spent that day cleaning my apartment, threw out old photos from family gatherings. Not all of them. Just the ones where I was in the background looking tired while everyone else smiled. I kept one from 2019, me holding the cake at Brooke's wedding, the one I helped pay for. I put it in a drawer. The third open loop started forming clearly in my mind around then. They had no idea I had set up that revocable trust 2 years ago. After Dad's second hospital scare, I had named myself trustee, with specific conditions for any future family distributions. It was funded with $25,000 from a bonus I never told them about. Every loan I gave them since then had been carefully tracked against it. They thought the money flowed one way. They didn't know I had built a structure that could stop it permanently, but I wasn't ready to show that card. Not yet. December 13th, they were still posting, snorkeling photos, sunset dinners. Mom sent me a direct text from a new number I hadn't blocked yet. Sarah, the weather is perfect. The kids keep asking where you are. Please don't let pride ruin your relationship with your father. I took a screenshot, added to evidence, didn't reply. Instead, I called my therapist for the first time in months. Booked a session for the following week. I told her over the phone briefly what happened. She listened, then said, "Sarah, this sounds like a long pattern of parentification. You were parentified as a child, and it continued into adulthood." Parentified. I wrote the word down, looked it up later. It fit perfectly. I started reading articles during evenings, stories of other people who cut financial ties with family, the relief they described, the guilt that came first. The guilt was there, heavy, especially at night. On December 14th, I received the villa host's final email. No partial refund on the deposit. As expected, $9,000 gone. But the host mentioned something interesting. One of the guests had asked about changing the booking name mid-trip. Mom. She wanted to transfer the remainder of the stay to Tyler's. Name for family reasons. I forwarded that email to Michael immediately. Add this to the documentation, I wrote. Small actions, each one a brick in the wall I was building. December 15th, last full day of their trip. The post slowed, probably packing. I imagined the airport shuttle I had arranged picking them up, the driver I had tipped in advance. I went to the gym, ran on the treadmill until my legs burned, then lifted weights until my arms shook. Physical pain felt cleaner than the emotional one. That night, Brooke tried calling from yet another number. I answered this time, put her on speaker while I made dinner. "Sarah, we're coming back tomorrow. Mom is a wreck. Dad barely enjoyed the trip because of the stress you caused." I stirred the pasta slowly. Interesting. All the photos looked like everyone was having a great time, she huffed. "You've been stalking our posts? That's creepy." "I paid for those experiences, Brooke. I have a right to see how my investment was used. You sound crazy. It was a gift. Gifts don't come with strings," I laughed. Short and sharp. $18,000 3 days before the trip suddenly has strings? When did that rule start? She started crying. Real tears or practiced? Hard to tell over the phone. "The kids miss you. Dad's blood pressure is up again. Are you happy now?" I turned off the stove. "Tell Mom the certified letter is waiting at the house. Read it together. Then we can talk about next steps." Genau. Hung up before she could respond. The house was quiet again. I ate dinner alone at the counter, watched a documentary about animal families, wolves, how they protect the pack but also have strict hierarchies, how some get pushed out when they're no longer useful. It hit close. December 16th, return day. I tracked their flights, landed in Chicago at 5:40 p.m. I knew their routine. They would go straight to Mom and Dad's house, unpack, share more stories. The certified letter would be in the mailbox by then, or delivered the next morning. I waited. At 8:12 p.m., my phone exploded. Mom first, multiple calls, then texts from the landline. "What is this letter? You're suing your own family? After everything? Tyler." "This is insane. We're not paying you back. It was a gift." Dad finally texted himself. First time in months. "Sarah, I'm disappointed. Come over tomorrow so we can discuss this like adults. No more games." I read all the messages once, then I started typing my response. Not emotional, structured. "I will meet with Mom and Dad only. 1 hour, at a neutral location. Bring a written repayment proposal. If you refuse, the next step is court. I have 7 years of documentation. I sent it to the 3 of them. Mom replied immediately. We are your parents. You don't get to demand meetings like we're criminals. I didn't answer. Instead, I prepared for the meeting. Printed 3 copies of the full transaction history. Highlighted the Hawaii section. Added the new emails from the villa host. Also recorded a short video on my phone. Calm, facing the camera. My name is Sarah Thompson. This is a record of events leading to my decision to seek repayment from my family. All details documented. I saved it in multiple places, just in case. The next day, December 17th, we met at a small coffee shop near their house. Neutral ground. I arrived early, chose a table in the corner, laptop open, folder ready. Mom and Dad walked in together. Mom looked tired. Dad moved slower, leaning on his cane more than usual. They sat down. No hugs. Mom started immediately. This is ridiculous, Sarah. You're going to destroy your father's health over money? I slid the folder across the table. 68,000 before Hawaii, 18,000 for Hawaii, total 86,000. I'm asking for a reasonable repayment plan. 2,000 a month, 43 months. Dad's face went red. We don't have that kind of money. You know that. I looked at him directly. You had enough for a luxury trip to Maui. Flights, villa, tours, all prepaid. Mom jumped in. That was your choice. We never forced you. I played a short clip from one of her old voicemails, the one where she called me their hero, their glue. Her face changed. You recorded me? What kind of daughter does that? The kind who learns she needs protection. Dad tried a different approach. Softer voice. Sarah, we love you. This trip was supposed to bring us together. Your mother and I, we felt you were too controlling, always managing everything. We needed space. I nodded slowly. So you waited until after I paid to tell me that? Silence, I continued. The trust I set up 2 years ago has conditions. Future financial help will only happen through structured agreements. No more open-ended gifts. Mom's eyes widened. What trust? I didn't explain further. That was the 3rd open loop closing in. They argued. They pleaded. Mom cried. Real tears at one point. Dad stared at the table. I stayed calm. Took notes. Repeated the demand, 1 hour exactly. I stood up. Send the proposal by December 23rd, or I file in small claims. I left them sitting there, Mom calling after me. Sarah, please don't do this. I walked to my car, hands steady, heart racing. That night, the family chat lit up again. Cousins getting involved, aunts and uncles asking what was going on. The narrative was already twisting. Sarah is having a breakdown. Sarah is greedy. I didn't respond to any of it. Instead, I documented every new message, added to the file. The pressure built over the next days. Tyler showed up at my apartment unannounced on December 19th. I didn't let him in. Talked through the cracked door. Mom stopped eating. Dad is depressed. You're really going to do this to them? I looked at my brother. The same brother whose college I paid for. Yes, because they did it to me first. He left angry. Each confrontation, each message, each attempt to guilt me added another layer of proof. By December 22nd, I had over 200 pages of documentation, screenshots, bank records, emails, recordings. The meeting had been tense, but it showed me something important. They were scared, not of losing me, of losing the resource I represented. That realization hurt more than the original text. But it also freed something. I started making small changes in my own life. Signed. Up for a painting class on weekends. Something just for me. Went to dinner with Lisa twice. The family kept trying. Different numbers, different stories. But the letter sat there. The deadline approached. December 23rd came. No proposal. I called. Michael, prepare the small claims filing. He confirmed the amounts. jurisdiction, process. It was real now. As I sat at my kitchen table that night, printing the final court documents, I thought about the woman who had transferred that last $4,000 in the bank parking lot. She was gone. In her place was someone who finally understood her worth. They wanted just family. They were about to get exactly that. No more bank, no more fixer, no more silent sacrifices. The final steps were coming, and this time, the consequences would be on their terms, not mine. December 24th, morning. No proposal had come. I made coffee, put on music I hadn't played in years, sat by the window and watched the neighborhood wake up slowly. Someone across the street was hanging lights. A dog ran through a front yard with a red bow around its neck. Normal life, moving forward without drama. Lisa came over at noon with wine and Thai food. We sat on the floor and talked about everything except my family, movies, her new apartment, a trip she was planning to Portugal in the spring. Around 4 p.m., she refilled my glass and said the thing I needed to hear. You know what I noticed? You haven't cried once while telling me all of this. I thought about it. No, I haven't. That's not coldness, she said. That's clarity. I held on to that word for the rest of the evening. December 26th. Michael filed the small claims paperwork, Cook County, clear jurisdiction, documented amounts, the villa deposit, the flights, the tours, the transfers going back years, structured as a pattern of financial reliance that crossed from gifts into expectation-based loans given under emotional pressure. He was careful with the language. Precise. No excess emotion. Just facts and dollar amounts. Total claimed $47,000, not the full $86,000. Michael advised keeping it within realistic collection parameters. Strategic, not greedy. I signed everything electronically and closed my laptop. The filing was done. It was real now in a way the letter hadn't quite been. I felt oddly calm. December 27th. They were served. Dad received the papers at the Naperville house at 2:14 p.m. I know the exact time because the process server sent a confirmation, and I had my phone in my hand when the notification came through. 17 minutes later, my phone started ringing. I didn't answer. Texts came fast. Dad, Mom from the landline. Tyler from 3 different numbers. Brooke, a cousin named Diane I hadn't spoken to since 2021. I read them all, screenshot each one, added them to the folder, and replied to none. At 6:30 p.m., I ordered pizza, watched a documentary about deep-eyed sea fish. Fell asleep on the couch before 10 December 28th. Tyler appeared at my apartment building at 8 a.m. I saw him on the security camera feed before he buzzed. He was wearing his good coat, the one he bought right after I covered his community college. He stood at the entrance for 4 minutes before pressing the intercom. I watched from my phone in bed. He pressed it twice, waited, left. I got up, showered, and went to the gym. December 29th. The call I had been waiting for came at 2 p.m. Not from Mom or Dad, from their attorney. A family friend named Gerald who had helped Dad with a business dispute years ago. I had met him once at a Christmas party. He was measured and professional on the phone. Sarah, my clients would like to explore a settlement conversation before. This goes further. They're not in a financial position to meet the claim as filed, but they're open to a structured agreement. I asked what kind of structure they were proposing. He mentioned monthly payments, smaller than what I had asked, starting in March, no interest. I told him I would get back to him within 48 hours. Then I called Michael. They lawyered up. Fast, he said. That's actually a good sign. Means they take the claim seriously. I asked him what our leverage was. The pattern, he said. 7 years of documented transfers with clear emotional coercion language in the texts. The Hawaii situation alone is compelling, but your strongest card is still the one you haven't played. The trust. Use it now? I asked. Not as a threat, as a condition. Any settlement includes formal acknowledgement that future financial assistance from you is entirely discretionary, documented in writing, and cannot be expected or requested. I sat with that for a minute. That was the piece they feared most. Not the $47,000, though that stung. The real terror was the tap being turned off permanently. No more financial cushion. No more emergencies solved by one call to Sarah. That was their loss. Not just money, the entire structure they had built their lives around. December 31st, New Year's Eve. I sent Gerald the counter-proposal through Michael's settlement terms. $36,000 total. $1,800 per month beginning February 1st. 20 months. A signed document acknowledging the nature of past financial transfers and formally releasing me from any future obligation, moral, familial, or otherwise, to provide financial support. No document, no deal. Full claim, proceeds. I went to Lisa's party that night. Small group, people I liked, someone brought a homemade cake. We counted down in her living room, and I hugged strangers at midnight and felt something loosen in my chest that had been tight since October, January 3rd. New year, new terms. Gerald called. They accepted. Not immediately, not gracefully. Mom, apparently, cried through the entire conversation with Gerald. Dad reportedly sat in silence for a long time before nodding, but they accepted. The paperwork would take 10 days. I hung up, sat at my kitchen table, and stayed very still for about 2 minutes. Then I texted Michael. They signed. He replied, "Good. Now go do something that has nothing to do with your family." January 5th. I signed up for a pottery class starting the following Tuesday. Something I had thought about for years and always pushed aside because there was always something more important. Someone else's emergency, someone else's gap to fill. I also booked a solo trip to Lisbon for March. 10 days, no itinerary spreadsheet. No head count, no villa big enough for 14 people. Just me and a city I had always wanted to see. I paid for it with my own money, for myself, without telling anyone. It felt radical. January 9th, the recorded call. Before the paperwork was finalized, I did one last thing. I called Mom, scheduled this time. Not surprise. I asked her for a real conversation and she agreed, probably thinking it was a chance to reopen the terms. I recorded it from the start, told her I was recording. She didn't object. We talked for 41 minutes. I asked her directly, when exactly did they decide not to invite me? Long silence. November 12th, she finally said. Your father felt you were too controlling of the planning. November 12th, 3 days before I transferred the final $9,000 villa balance. You knew on November 12th, I said slowly. And you let me pay anyway. She started to explain. Something about timing. Something about not wanting to hurt me before the payments were done. I let her finish. Mom, that's not a mistake. That's a decision, she cried. Real tears this time, I think. The kind that aren't calculated. I know, she said quietly. I know. It was wrong. It was the first honest thing she had said to me in months, maybe years. I didn't forgive her in that moment. Forgiveness wasn't what the call was for. The call was for the record, for the 41 minutes of clarity I needed to carry forward. I thanked her for being honest, told her I hoped the repayment schedule wouldn't be a hardship, reminded her that the signed document meant I was no longer the family's financial plan. She said she understood. I'm not sure she did, but she said it. January 14th. Papers signed, certified copies, Michael's office, both parties, Mom and Dad signed. On January 11th. I signed January 14th. The first payment would arrive February 1st. I framed nothing. Didn't celebrate in any dramatic way. Just filed the documents with my other important papers and made dinner, salmon, glass of wine, the documentary channel, a Tuesday like any other. February 1st. First payment arrived, $1,800. Exactly on schedule. I moved it immediately into a separate account I had named simply Back. No fanfare, no text to acknowledge it, just bookkeeping. Tyler texted that same evening. Short message, hope you're happy. I typed back one line, getting. There, blocked him again, this time for longer. What changed in the weeks after all of it settled? I want to be honest here because I think people expect this part to be triumphant. A clean before and after. Villain punished, protagonist thriving, credits roll. It wasn't like that. There were nights in January when the loneliness felt enormous. When I scrolled past a photo from Brooke's kid's birthday party, the one I hadn't been invited to, the one I also hadn't paid for, and felt the loss of it as a physical thing in my chest. I was not just losing a dynamic. I was losing a version of family I had always told myself was possible. The Hawaii trip was supposed to finally make us whole. That's the part nobody talks about. Even when you're being used, you still wanted the thing to be real. My therapist said something that stayed with me. You spent 30 years trying to buy belonging. Now you're learning you can't purchase it, and that means learning what you actually have. I sat with that for a long time. What I actually have. Lisa, who showed up with wine on Christmas Eve without being asked. Michael, who stayed professional and steady through 6 weeks of chaos. A pottery class on Tuesday nights, where nobody knows my family history. A savings account that's growing again now that the tap only flows toward me. A trip to Lisbon I think about when the nights get heavy, and a different kind of clarity, the kind that only comes when you stop trying to fix something that was never broken in the way you thought. It was never a broken family waiting to be made whole. It was a system. And I was the most important part of the mechanism. The funding, the logistics, the emotional ballast. When I stepped out of the mechanism, it didn't collapse. It just reorganized around my absence. That hurt. But it was also the most truthful thing I had ever let myself see. March, Lisbon. I stood on a rooftop terrace on the 4th evening of my trip. The city spread out below me, red rooftops, river in the distance, the smell of bread from somewhere below. My phone had a few messages. Lisa checking in. Michael. Confirming the February payment had cleared. A work email I would deal with Monday. Nothing from my family. I had not spoken to Mom since the recorded call in January. Dad had sent one brief text in early February. Hope you are well. And I had replied, thank you, and left it there. Tyler and Brooke were quiet. Partly the court agreement. Partly, I think, the discomfort of facing what they had participated in. The silence was strange at first. Then it became something else. Space. I ordered a glass of wine at the terrace bar and sat there until the sun went all the way down over the Tagus River. I didn't take a photo, didn't post anything, didn't send it to anyone. It was just mine. Fully, completely, expensively, finally mine. One last thing. A lot of people hear a story like this and ask the same question. Did you forgive them? Here's what I'll say. Forgiveness is not the same as reconciliation. I don't carry active hatred. Hatred is heavy, and I've been carrying heavy things for a long time. But the relationship I had with my family, the one where I was the fixer, the bank, the glue, the strong one who didn't need anything, that version is gone, permanently, and I don't grieve it anymore. What I'm building now is smaller and more honest. Boundaries that exist whether or not everyone approves of them. Relationships where showing up doesn't require a transaction. What they wanted was just family. What I finally have is just me. And for the first time, that's enough. I want to ask you something before you go. Have you ever been the one who always showed up? Who funded, planned, fixed, and carried? And then one day realized the gratitude was never about you. It was about what you provided? Leave it in the comments. Because I think more people are sitting in that parking lot than anyone admits. And if you are, if you're reading this at 2 a.m., wondering why the person you give the most to makes you feel the least seen, I want you to know that clarity is coming. It just might cost you $18,000 to find it. You've been watching. Thank you for staying until the end. If this story moved you, you know what to do.